Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to this video. So in this video, we are going to learn how to write fractions as decimals. It's just a continuation of our discussion over rational numbers. So let's just quickly review what we talked about in class today. We talked about the definition of a rational number in class. So again, a rational number is anything that can be written as a fraction. So this includes integers, terminating decimals, and repeating decimals. Examples of this include 3/4, 2/3, -3, -4, 0.75, and 0.3 repeating. So like we discussed in class earlier today, all these numbers are either fractions or can be written as fractions. So for the -3 can be written as -3/1. And same with the -4, you can just put it over 1. Now we won't get into tonight how to write 0.75 as a fraction. Instead, we're going to talk about how to write fractions, how to get fractions into decimals. So let's look at that really quickly. Now, when you're trying to go from fraction to decimal, you're either going to get a terminating decimal or you're going to get a repeating decimal. Okay? So I'm going to show you how to do this tonight, and then tomorrow we'll be working more practice problems. So if you look, we have 3/4. If you remember, the fraction bar is also the same as a division. So 3/4 is the same as saying 3 divided by 4. So to get from this fraction to a decimal, we literally just have to do 3 divided by 4. Now, 4 does not go into 3. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to add a decimal and then a 0 after that decimal. Okay? So if you remember your rules about dividing decimals, if you have a decimal right here, now you have to raise the roof. So if I have a decimal down here, I have to bring the decimal straight up here as well. Okay, so now I'm doing 4 into 30. So 4 goes into 30 7 times. Okay, 7 times 4 is 28. You get a remainder of 2. So now we have to bring down another 0. Okay, now 4 goes into 25 times. And then we have 5 times 4 is equal to 20. And now we have the remainder of 0. So your final answer is going to be 0.75. Now when you're doing these problems, I need to see your steps. Don't just plug it into your calculator. You can check it with your calculator, but I need to see your actual division. I need to see how you divided it out, and I also need to see your final answer off to the side. Okay? The most common mistake students make is not putting in their decimal. So be sure that you have your decimals in the right spot. Okay, let's look at example 2. Now for example 2, I want you to work this one by yourself. So pause the video and work this one by yourself first. If you're still watching this, you did not follow instructions. So you need to pause the video, and then when you tried it, then you can push play again. So now we have 7/8. 7/8 is just the same as 7 divided by 8. Okay? So to divide the 7, the numerator is going to go on the inside, and the 8, the denominator, is going to go on the outside. Alright. Now, 8 doesn't go into 7, so I'm going to have to add a decimal, and then I'm also going to have to add a 0. Okay? Again, now I have to raise the roof for the decimal, so I'm going to have a decimal up here and down there. Make sure that your decimals are lined up. It's a very important step. Otherwise, you're going to end up getting a wrong number. So when you're doing this, make sure the decimals are lined up just like how I'm doing here. Now 8 goes into 78 times. 8 times 8 is 64. Okay? 70 minus 64 is just going to be 6. I have to bring down another 0. Again, it's very important that you have all the zeros lined up. Make sure everything's lined up properly before you even start. 8 goes into 67 times. Now 7 times 8 is 56. Subtract. When I subtract, I'm gonna get 60 minus 56. Sorry about that, the camera almost fell over. When I get 60 minus 56, I'm gonna get 4. Okay? I have to bring down another 0. So woo, all the way down here. We have 0 right here. Now 8 goes into 40 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. 40 minus 40 is 0. So once I get a remainder of 0, I am finished. So my final answer is going to be 0.875. In other words, 7/8 is the same as 0.875. Let's try another example. All right, now we have 1/3. This one's a little different. For this one, you probably already know this, but you're actually going to end up getting a repeating decimal, okay? So now, once again, 1/3 is the same as 1 divided over 3. You don't have to write this step, but it helps me to see that this is the same as this. So I'm going to do, so 1, the numerator goes on the inside, and the 3 goes on the outside. Once again, I'm going to have to add a decimal, and then add a 0 after that decimal. Okay? If I have a decimal down here, I also have to have a decimal up here. So you got to raise the roof on that. Now 3 goes into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. 10 minus 9 is 1, so I get a 1 down here. Okay, I have to add another 0. Again, make sure your zeros are lined up. 3 goes into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. Subtract that, I'm just going to get a 1 again. Now, I'm going to just do this one more time just to make the point clear. When I add another 0 and then bring it down, add another 0 and bring it down, well, I'm just going to keep getting 10 over and over and over and over again. And you already know that 3 goes into 10 3 times. So every time I bring down a 0, I'm just going to keep getting 3s, okay? So my decimal, so 1/3 as a decimal is just going to be 0.3 repeating. So 0.3 repeating, okay? The bar over the 3 means that this 3 keeps repeating itself. Now, once you realize that it's just good, that this number is just going to keep repeating, you can stop. So I could have stopped right here after 2 3s, because then I think, oh, it's just going to keep repeating itself. But if you want, you can also go a little further too, just to be sure. Now you have a couple of practice problems. I want you to work the practice problems on your own, and then tomorrow during class we'll go over them. Okay, God bless you and have a good evening.